Yo, what's up, boxing fans? It's your boy Rick Muhammad, Brawlers Sports Media in the building. So check this out. Good fight this past weekend in Australia. Devin Haney took on George Kambosos for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world. Despite all the chaos that led up to the fight, with them denying his father to be able to enter into the country with the visa being approved and this, that, and the other. And then at the last minute, approving Bill Haney with his visa to join his son for the biggest fight of his entire career, to be able to share that with him. I'm sure that was a weight lifted off of both of them, son and dad. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that worked out for Team Haney, and Bill Haney was authorized to leave and come to Australia. It was a hell of a performance by Devin Haney last Saturday night. Most people thought he's just he's skilled, but he's boring. Not boring. He's another Floyd Money Mayweather. He's smart. The theory of boxing is hit but don't be hit. And even though that's the rule of thumb, he still mixed it up and wasn't afraid of George Kambosos. But the fight plan is always a boxer always wins versus a puncher. And George Kambosos is not a boxer, he's a puncher, and styles make fights. That's why we saw George Kambosos do what he did against Teofimo. Styles make fights. That fight versus Teofimo was tailor-made for Kambosos' style of fighting, but that's not the case with every fight. As you can see, that style of fight for George Kambosos does not work against a slick, crafty boxer with a high boxing IQ and great skill sets in the ring like the likes of Devin Haney. Devin Haney proved that. All he had to do was stay on his stick, keep that jab out there in his face, touch him, keep touching him, setting everything up off the jab, and utilizing that ring, circling left to right, stepping around, and he stepped around beautifully and gave great angles against George Kambosos, if you would, and he popping right back with the jab, 2, 3, 4 jab, pop, 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 pop. You can hear his godfather, Yoel Judah, tell him, you're doing beautiful, just keep boxing him. And that's it, that's the key. Keep boxing him. Devin Haney's smart, he listens, he never once veered away from the fight plan, what they put together in training camp. That's what training camp is for. The techniques that the trainers, coaches go over with you and teach you and drill you on, that's what they want to see in the fight. Does that always happen? Not always. That's why it's called adaptation. You have to adapt and overcome the adversities that sometimes you face in the ring. And what you're doing against that fighter, like I said, styles make fights. It may not be working out for you, that fight plan. So now you got to readjust and come up with a tailor-made fight plan as you go. That's the adjustments that you have to make. And by Devin Haney put that jab in George Kambosos' face all night, he never allowed George Kambosos to reset and get his feet planted to deliver anything worthy. At some point, George Kambosos, hell, he didn't know where Devin Haney was half the time in the ring. Every time he stepped around and looked for him, Devin Haney's behind him. They tied up. Kambosos doing all this. He never knew, Devin Haney's so elusive in the ring, man. Crafty, witty, slick, good ring savvy, generalship in that ring. And he does it like an old seasoned pro, and he's still young as hell. So he's definitely come a long way, Devin Haney has. He has some flaws in his defense that I'm sure they're going to look at tape and watch. He likes to pull back with his hands down. Carry your hands at all times. Don't pull back. If you pull back like this, but never pull back in boxing. You go underneath or you step around. Don't pull straight back, because the velocity of a looping right hand is going with that stepping back motion. And as you stepping back, you just giving it that much more power with speed. And bam. If it clock you, clip you on the chin, that's how you go down. So he's got to be careful with the pulling straight back, and he gets careless sometimes and drops his hand. He drops his left hand and he's open for a straight right. Or sometimes he was dropping his right hand a lot, and Kambosos was catching him with left hooks because he has a decent left hook as well. But definitely not a slick boxer, George Kambosos is. So now, where do we go now? Since Devin Haney is the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, does he go up? Do we get to see a Tank Haney? Do we get to see a Lomachenko Haney? Do we get to see the likes of him going up to 40 and possibly fighting Shakur Stevenson? What do you guys think about that? Who would be his best fight? What's his safest fight out of those names I just called out? And let's throw Ryan Garcia in there as well. Hey, Ryan Garcia, Tank, Lomachenko, and Shakur Stevenson, if he was to move up. I think Shakur Stevenson would be a bit too much. In my own personal opinion, I am a Haney fan. I am a Stevenson fan. But I say, and I said this along with Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford and Stevenson are different. And I just don't see nobody beating Stevenson. I just don't see that. So if that fight happens with him and Haney, that could be Haney's first loss. But I'm sure that won't be Haney's next fight. So that won't be his first fight coming up anytime soon. But Tank would be a very attractive and an appealing fight. Ryan Garcia would be a tough fight for Haney. One thing Haney doesn't have, and he doesn't have a tremendous amount or little to none punching power, if you will. You know, it's a surprise punch. The punch that you don't see is always the punch that hurts you. So when he hurts his guys, those are the punches they don't see. And then once you know you got them a little wobbly on their feet, then you throw a volley of punches, bing, and just put your weight all into it, and eventually they're going to be defenseless, and referee 9 times out of 10 stop seeing and wave that fight off because you're not fighting back, you're not protecting yourself, and you're not throwing any punches back. So that's grounds to stop the fight, to protect the fighter. But he definitely needs to work on some punching power, maybe get some weightlifting, light weights, but maximum repetitions, if you will, and build some power in his punches. Other than that, and the few defensive flaws that he has, Haney fought a superb fight, and like I thought he would do, put on a boxing clinic, which he did. Like I said, very glad his dad, Bill Haney, was able to make that trip day before the fight. I'm sure that was so much relief for Devin Haney to open his door, knowing his dad is en route, and bam, here we are back together again. Team Haney in the building. I got my godfather, Yoel Judah, father and pops and head trainer for superstar, Hall of Famer, Super Zab, former welterweight champion Super Zab Judah, and they went in there collectively as a team and did the damn thing. So, and he brought those straps back to the U.S. Stand up Vegas, stand up the United States. Let's go, champs. Great job, Team Haney. My man. Well, what else we got? We got that Selecki Charlo fight is coming up June 18th in Houston. It just seems like that fight is so far away. I thought that fight was much sooner than the 18th, but that fight's coming up also. We also still got Ryan Garcia coming up June 7th. And then, like I spoke to you guys earlier about Adrian the Problem Brawler, that fight's coming up sometime in July 23rd, I believe I said, against Fortuna. I don't think that's a smart comeback fight for Adrian Brawler, and surely not at 147, which I've heard that's the weight that he's coming back for that fight. What else we got? Oh, we got oh wow, what do we have? Earl Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford. Sources say close to PBC that fight is just about done. They've already come up with a time frame of October-ish. Whatever date in October has not been set. The venue has not yet been set. But let's talk about the venue for a fight of that magnitude. Vegas MGM Garden Arena is not going to suffice for the amount of people that this fight is going to attract for another undisputed world championship fight at the 147-pound welterweight class, like Ray Leonard. This is going to be like Ray Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, Duran all over again with Bud versus Spence. Oh my God. This is the battle and probably the fight of the year. And we've had some great fights starting us off in 2022. No doubt. This will live up to it. I believe this fight is going to be the fight of the year. And it's going to go down in history. I really do think so. Even over the heavyweight, like the trilogy with Wilder and Fury, another great fight. Hey, this fight is going to be one for the record books when Bud and Spence step in that ring. So let's talk about venues. I don't know if MGM can hold it. Small, but this would be a good time to break in that brand new Las Vegas Raiders Stadium, Allegiant Field, Allegiant Arena. I think that would be awesome. You know, it's got the retracting roof, so it'll be an indoor fight like we doing, because Bud said he wanted it in a neutral place. So obviously we won't be seeing that fight. Sorry, Jerry Jones, that will not be back at Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas. So a neutral spot, I would say, could be Vegas at Allegiant Stadium or Madison Square Garden. I believe Madison Square Garden is definitely big enough to sell out that fight and pack them in. What else? Or we could go to LA and go to SoFi Stadium where they had the Super Bowl at. That would suffice if we want to do football stadium-ish type venue like Jerry Jones in Cowboy Nation. We could take it to LA and put it in the Rams football stadium. That would be awesome as well. But I do not see this fight being at MGM. If it's going to be in Vegas, it has to be somewhere like Allegiant Stadium. That's because you can't grab ass on the head count in the seats. You know, this fight of this magnitude is going to be astronomical. So you got to go big or go home, and let's maximize this money. Maximize the fighters. They're gonna get big bucks. Let's get a big venue and put a lot of asses in the seats so we can get them big bucks. And not to mention what records they're probably gonna break on pay-per-view. You know, I think this fight here is gonna hit over 1 million pay-per-view sales. This is the fight everybody been talking about. Everybody been listening to Spence trash talking about Bud. Everybody been listening to Bud trash talking about Spence over the years as they bump heads out at events or whatever after their own fights. If one of the others at that person's fight to see what the outcome is, call them out. It's going to be a hell of a fight, man. This is going to be a hell of a fight. We got Andy Ruiz in August. He's back. Former heavyweight champion of the world. He's fighting Luis Ortiz. That's going to be a good fight. And I'm sure we're going to see, wouldn't it be something if we see another Wilder-Ortiz fight? Because the winner of that fight might get to fight Wilder. Because Wilder is the number one. He's ranked number one with the WBC. But the word is that the WBC has relayed back to Team Fury. Take your time. You're the heavyweight champion of the world. You've done so much for boxing. You're a great champion. There's no rush. Spend some time with your family. Think about it. Discuss it with your loved ones, and then get back to us as to what your final decision is going to be. Hang them up. Come back. Whatever that's going to be, we're going to respect it. But right now, you do not have to make that call and say, "Hey, I'm retiring. Okay, I'm vacating the WBC. It's up for grabs. Wilder, do your thing. All the other heavyweights, do your thing." No. So that's the word. Fury's been given the green light to pump his brakes and take a little self-time and reflect exactly what it is he wants to do with the remainder of his career. Complete it as it is or carry on. So that's commendable, and I respect that. So salute Team Fury. Take your time. He's still a great champion. If he decides to stay, hell, we'd love to see him fight anyway. Either way it go, you know. And I'm sure Team Wilder is putting something together. I've heard he's definitely made an announcement that he's coming back sometime this summer. So stay tuned for that. We got plenty much more boxing left in 2022. It's just getting bigger and better. Where I go, my main man, Montel Ice Griffin. I almost forgot. How could I do that? I got to talking about everything else. Montel Ice Griffin, former two-time light heavyweight champion of the world, 1992 Barcelona Olympian, teammates with Oscar De La Hoya, Vernon the Viper Forrest, Tim Austin, all those guys, great class of 92. Hey, you know, what can you say? Montel Ice Griffin's birthday is today. He turns 51 years around the sun. My main man, Ice. Hey, baby, much respect. I love you, brother. Happy birthday. But that's pretty much a wrap right now. So hopefully I covered everything with you guys. Like I say, when I know, you know, I keep you guys in the know, and that's what we do here at Brawlers Sports Media. I'm Rick Mohammed, Brawlers Sports Media. Hey, and until next time, let's go, champs.
Brawlers, baby.